In the year 1927, deep beneath the ruins of ancient Nippur, a small clay tablet was pulled from a sealed pottery jar that had not been opened in over 4,000 years. The tablet was no larger than a man's palm. The uniform pressed into its surface was unusually fine, almost reverent in its precision, as though the scribe who carved it had understood that what he was recording could never be repeated. When the tablet reached the University of Pennsylvania Museum in the autumn of that same year, the assistant cataloger, who first attempted a translation, set the piece aside within 40 minutes and recorded only a single line in the accession ledger. The line read, "Content of religious or mythological nature, defer to senior staff." The tablet was given the catalog number N2847 and placed in a wooden drawer in the basement archive, where it remained untranslated and unread for the next 44 years. What that tablet describes is the arrival of a small four-legged creature brought down from the heavens by the Anunnaki for a singular purpose: watching, guarding, and protecting the thin places between worlds. The creature was the cat, and according to the tablet, its true purpose has been forgotten by humanity. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Stories like this survive only because people continue searching for forgotten pieces of history. The mystery resurfaced in 1971 when a young Oxford philologist named Eleanor Ashworth was assigned to catalog neglected artifacts stored in what museum staff jokingly called the residue drawer. Most of its contents were mundane records of grain, livestock, and taxes, but among them sat tablet N2847. From the first few lines, Ashworth realized this was something entirely different. The text claimed to preserve knowledge passed down through generations, reaching back to a time when the gods still walked among men and the doors of the upper places had not yet been sealed. According to Ashworth's interpretation, these upper places referred to locations where the boundary between worlds grew thin. The tablet explains that in humanity's earliest settlements, people suffered from a strange affliction. Children awoke terrified in the middle of the night, staring into empty corners. Adults experienced disturbing dreams and unexplained exhaustion. The priests appealed to the gods, and the gods immediately recognized the problem. Something was crossing through the thin places. These entities, described as bodiless beings from another realm, entered human dwellings while people slept and fed upon what the tablet calls the inner light. To solve the problem, one of the Anunnaki proposed bringing a guardian creature from a distant world referred to only as the green star of the seventh house. This creature already served as a protector there, capable of sensing things invisible to human perception. The description leaves little doubt about its identity. It possessed 4 legs, silent feet, shining eyes, and a coat that occasionally produced sparks when touched. It slept for much of the day, but the tablet insists its sleep was not true rest. Instead, it was a form of constant vigilance. Most intriguing of all, the creature would often stare into seemingly empty spaces, watching things no human could see. The tablet calls this animal Mushdub, a word Ashworth translated as holder of the door. According to her theory, Mushdub was not the ordinary word for cat. It was a sacred title used by temple priests when referring to the cat's original role as guardian of the boundaries between worlds. The text then describes how these creatures were distributed throughout society. They were placed first in temples, then in the homes of priests, kings, and finally ordinary people. The reason was simple. Temples were believed to be built directly upon thin places. Priests could perform rituals and offer prayers, but they still required guardians capable of perceiving what humans could not. The cats became the first line of defense. One passage is especially striking. When a cat encounters something that should not be present, its fur rises, its tail thickens, and it fixes its gaze upon a specific point. A low vibration emerges from its throat. According to the tablet, this is not fear or aggression. It is the act of closing a doorway. Anyone who has ever watched a cat stare intensely into an empty corner has witnessed behavior remarkably similar to what the scribe described thousands of years ago. Ashworth completed her translation in 1973 and attempted to publish it. Journal after journal rejected the manuscript. Some reviewers considered the subject unsuitable for serious scholarship. Others doubted the translation entirely. As a result, her work circulated only among a small network of researchers and enthusiasts. Meanwhile, the original tablet was reportedly moved into restricted storage, becoming difficult for outsiders to access. Yet the most fascinating part of the text lies in its explanation of what cats actually do. The tablet lists 7 sacred functions. The first is guarding sleepers. During sleep, the inner light becomes vulnerable. By resting beside a person, a cat anchors that light and prevents interference. The second is watching doorways. Every doorway represents a transition point, and transition points attract unwanted visitors. Cats station themselves there as sentinels. The third is testing newcomers. When a cat carefully inspects a stranger, object, or gift, the tablet says it is determining whether anything harmful has entered with it. The fourth is marking territory. By rubbing against furniture, walls, and door frames, cats leave behind an energetic signature that seals a dwelling against intrusion. The fifth is breaking dangerous silence. The mysterious nighttime bursts of energy that send cats racing through hallways are described not as random behavior, but as responses to disturbances humans cannot perceive. The sixth function is holding the gaze. When a cat stares unblinkingly at one location, the tablet claims it is preventing something from fully crossing into the physical world. The seventh and most important function is the purr. Far from being a simple expression of contentment, the purr is described as a vibration that completes the sealing process. It is the final barrier after all other protective measures have been performed. The text then asks a disturbing question. What would happen if the cats disappeared? The answer is grim. Without them, the thin places would reopen. The strange disturbances of ancient times would return. Children would once again wake frightened in the night. And over generations, civilization itself would slowly unravel. The scribe records this prediction without drama or exaggeration, treating it as established knowledge rather than speculation. Near the end, he addresses future readers directly. He warns that even in his own era, people had begun forgetting the true role of cats. They treated them as ordinary animals and neglected the traditions that once honored them. Yet the cats continued performing their duties regardless. The cats remember what we have forgotten, the final line declares. This idea becomes even more interesting when viewed alongside ancient Egypt. Egyptians revered cats unlike any other civilization. They associated them with protection, family, and spiritual guardianship. Killing a cat was a severe crime, and household cats were mourned like relatives. Perhaps, if the tablet's claims are true, Egypt inherited fragments of an older tradition stretching back to Sumer. Over time, however, the memory faded. In medieval Europe, many cats were feared rather than respected. Behaviors once viewed as protective became interpreted as sinister. The guardians were mistaken for the threat. Whether the story is history, mythology, or something in between, it presents a fascinating possibility. Maybe humans never truly domesticated cats. Maybe cats accepted a responsibility long ago and have quietly continued performing it ever since. So tonight, if you share your home with a cat, watch carefully. Notice where it sits when the house grows quiet. Notice what it watches when nothing appears to be there. Notice the low vibration of its purr, because according to a forgotten tablet buried for 4 millennia, those behaviors are not random at all. They are the same ancient duties the cat has performed since the beginning, watching the doors, guarding the sleepers, and keeping the thin places closed.